Hey everyone, I'm Case Aiken, and let's wrap up this Captain Marvel series of my Superman Analogue videos. Today we're going to talk about the 5th Marvel Comics Captain Marvel. However, it is one I have mentioned a few times already at this point, because we're talking about Carol Danvers. Carol Danvers has a pretty long history in comics, but only recently took on the name of Captain Marvel. At first, she was a human ally and love interest of Mar Vell, but eventually she developed powers of her own and went on to be Miss Marvel. Originally, this was through Kree DNA being infused into her, though later this was retconned to her already being a Kree-human hybrid, but with the Kree side dormant. She donned a distaff version of Mar Vell's costume and went on to have her own adventures. Now, bear with me for an odd theory that is, I will admit, my own. Kree-human hybrids have typically been more powerful than either race solo, kind of like Gohan in Dragon Ball Z. I find this fascinating because Kree canonically aren't supposed to get superpowers. We have been told that both the Kree and Skrull are at their evolutionary limit, though in the case of the Kree, this is because their race was never manipulated by the Celestials, so they have no celestial seed for superpowers the way humans have for mutants, Inhumans, Eternals, or other superhumans, or any of the other species that we've seen that have manifested superpowers. Like the Shi'ar. Even the Skrull are the deviants of their race and so benefit from a celestial manipulation of their species. But the Kree are just the Kree. They have never been manipulated genetically. And of course, while I would say my hypothesis is supported by the majority of evidence, that has been contradicted with various examples like Woe. But EarthX argued that the Kree lacked the celestial seed that enabled powers, and I typically side with that. Genis and Violet technically are also human hybrids, but they are hybrids by way of Eternals, which are different. They don't have the ability to spontaneously manifest powers, they already just have them. Meanwhile, a good example of supporting evidence is Ultra Girl, who is a Kree-human hybrid and has identical powers to Carol Danvers. As Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers was a powerhouse hero, eventually getting her own unique costume that went on to be her iconic look as Miss Marvel. But that heroic career was cut short by a fight with the then villainous Rogue, which I have already discussed. Carol was stripped of her powers and memories by Rogue and went on as a shell of her former self until she joined up with the Starjammers, the proto-Guardians of the Galaxy that was running around in the X-books. While traveling with them, she had her powers jump-started, transforming her into the cosmically powerful Binary. Binary was in the same class as the Silver Surfer, or possibly even the Phoenix. She was incredibly powerful, and as a super heavy hitter, couldn't really be the focus of a lot of books, because she was just too powerful to really have any sort of physical obstacle. As a result, she only showed up every once in a while. But then Carol Danvers joined the Avengers, and coincidentally, that was just when her powers waned back down to roughly the Miss Marvel levels. During this time, she battled alcoholism while using the name Warbird. Eventually, Carol took her old name back and rose back up to prominence. Then, after the secret invasion train wreck of an event, Phyla Vell going on to become Quasar, and a Skrull impersonator reminding people just how inspiring Mar Vell was, the name Captain Marvel was left vacant. After some encouragement from other heroes, Carol took on the name. With her power levels now stable, Carol is determined to be one of the greats of the Marvel Universe. Her new uniform is a palette flip of Mar Vell's, but with the sash design that she rocked as Miss Marvel. It's a great updated look. And obviously, we're all aware of the character now, because Marvel has pushed her really hard, in part because of the MCU, where Brie Larson is owning the role, portraying the character in various MCU movies, as well as in the What If cartoons. And the MCU version of Captain Marvel has a Carol Danvers that is almost at the power level of her Binary form. So I look forward to seeing how they challenge her in future installments. Now, in terms of all the Marvel Captain Marvels, she's power-wise probably the closest to being a proper Superman analog, what with her strength, flight, nigh invulnerability, and limited energy powers. And she's had quite the ride. I mean, from her creation, her name is a nod to Supergirl, what with Kara Zor-El / Linda Danvers, or in more recent stuff, Kara Danvers, sounding quite a bit like Carol Danvers, as is her look, clearly. She's gone from a background player to a headliner, a broken person struggling to reform themselves, to the Celestial Cavalry, to a fucking cop, and back to being a headlining hero. Now she's even launching a new era of Marvel films. If any version of Captain Marvel has been poised to be the company's flagship hero, it's Carol Danvers. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Next time we'll be back with another captain, but until then, stay super, man. Okay, and now this is, of course, the time where I ask you all to do the usual YouTube stuff, like liking this video and subscribing to this feed. Check out our website with all of our podcasts. There's a ton of great stuff that we at Certain POV are putting out, and you should really check it all out. Also, check out our Discord and talk with us directly. Do that stuff. Do the things.